Wife, you are a guy. Julian's voice, though still softened by champagne and adoration, held a sudden, sharp edge of confusion. My breath hitched, a cold dread seeping through the frantic warmth of the limo. Had he truly seen? Was this the end of the charade? I scrambled, trying to pull the delicate lace of the wedding dress further down my leg, a futile gesture that only highlighted the very unfeminine expanse of my muscular calf. What? No, that's ridiculous, I blurted, my voice cracking, feeling the blush that started at my toes surge all the way to the roots of my ill-fitting wig. The mirror reflected a stranger, 6 feet tall, decently built, and currently trapped in a pearly white, lacy wedding dress that clung in all the wrong places. My name is Leo Maxwell, and I was, by all accounts, a perfectly normal guy. Or at least I had been up until a few hours ago. Now, I was a stand-in bride, sweating profusely under layers of tulle and the heavy weight of a very expensive veil. My sister Iris, in a move that would be legendary in family lore, had ditched her wedding to Julian Thorne, the golden boy heir of the colossal Thorne Enterprises. And my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Maxwell, in their infinite and desperate wisdom, had decided that family honor, and more importantly, the family's business standing, could only be salvaged by me taking her place. So here I was, feeling like an extra in a bizarre rom-com, standing in a grand, sun-drenched church. Julian, devastatingly handsome in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, was slipping a ring onto my finger. The cold metal against my skin felt shockingly real. He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear, smelling faintly of mint and expensive cologne, and whispered, "My beautiful Iris." My brain short-circuited as his lips, soft and surprisingly gentle, met mine. It was a fleeting, chaste kiss, but it sent a jolt through me that was a terrifying mix of panic and something unidentifiable. The crowd erupted in polite applause, the organ swelled, and Julian, eyes sparkling with what I could only assume was newlywed bliss, grinned down at me. "Your lips are so soft, wife," he murmured, his thumb brushing my cheek. I was too stunned, too mortified to respond. My face burned, a crimson flush that no amount of foundation could hide, as he took my hand and tugged me down the aisle. Each step felt like a march to my doom. Wife, I'm a dude." The internal scream was deafening. "Julian, a dude who's apparently married to you now." A sarcastic, defeated voice countered in my head. We were whisked away to the reception, a glitzy affair in a ballroom dripping with crystal chandeliers. Julian's arm was possessively glued to my waist, his presence a constant, terrifying reminder of the charade. "To my beautiful wife," he declared, raising his champagne flute, his gaze fixed on me. The guests cheered, and I nearly choked on my drink. Beautiful? I'd barely had time to slap on some foundation and lip gloss before they'd shoved me into this monstrosity of a dress. Across the room, my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Maxwell, watched me with hawk-like intensity, their expressions a clear warning. "Don't you dare mess this up, Leo." My mother, Eleanor, pulled me aside as Julian chatted with some distant relative. "Leo," she hissed, her voice barely audible over the din. "We have people looking for Iris overseas. She left a few cryptic clues, but you know her. She's elusive. It'll take at least a month." "A month?" I whispered, gripping my champagne flute so hard my knuckles turned white. "You expect me to pull this off for a month?" My father, Richard, nodded grimly. "Just keep Julian distracted. Don't let him find out you're not Iris. If you hit any snags, call us immediately." Distracted from what? I thought. The fact that I'm a full-grown man in a wedding dress? Julian Thorne wasn't just any groom. He was Julian, the 28-year-old heir to a business empire, sharp as a tack and notoriously ruthless when crossed. Rumor had it he once sniffed out a traitor in his family's company with nothing but a stray email and had the guy blacklisted by lunch. And I, Leo Maxwell, was supposed to fool him for 30 days. "Wife, are you okay?" Julian's voice startled me, his brow furrowed with concern. "You look pale. Too much champagne." I forced a shaky smile, my cheeks still burning. "Just overwhelmed. Big day, you know." He set down his glass, stepping closer, his concern undeniably genuine. "Let's get you home. I'll call the doctor to check on you." Before I could protest, he scooped me up, princess style, carrying me effortlessly through the applauding guests. My heart hammered against my ribs, convinced he could feel it. My parents' warning glares followed me. "Don't screw this up." "I'm fine, really," I squeaked, my voice barely a whisper. Julian paused, tilting his head. "Wife, your voice sounds kinda husky. Very sexy." I nearly choked. Yeah, ate something weird yesterday. Throat's a bit off." My mother, ever the quick thinker, jumped in with a saccharine smile. "Oh, Iris is always eating spicy junk. Messed up her voice good, right?" My father added, nodding sagely. "Told her to lay off the hot wings. But does she ever listen?" Julian bought it, thank God. "We'll have the doctor look at your throat too, then. Come on, let's get you home." He didn't put me down until we were safely in the limo, and even then, he kept me close, one arm possessively around my shoulders. I was stiff as a board, and here's why. Under this elaborate dress, I was going commando. No padding, no nothing. Just me, a pair of boxers, and a prayer. They had thrown me into this gig so fast I hadn't even had time to prep. One wrong move, and Julian was going to get an eyeful of something very un-Iris-like halfway home. A sharp, vicious cramp seized my left calf. I gritted my teeth, clutching the plush leather seat, my entire body tensing. There was no way I could stretch it out without flashing Julian with a very unexpected sight. One that would undoubtedly shatter his newlywed bliss and expose my desperate charade. "Wife, what's wrong?" Julian's voice spiked with genuine worry, his hand immediately on my arm. "You're scaring me." "Cramp?" I gasped, clinging to his sleeve, the pain making my eyes water. "My leg. It hurts." "Hang on. I've got you." Before I could protest, he knelt on the limo floor, his strong, capable hands gently but expertly working the knot in my calf. For a man who exuded the aura of an untouchable CEO, his massage technique was unbelievably good. The pain, surprisingly, began to ease, and I slumped against him, panting slightly. He was warm, solid, and smelled intoxicatingly of cedar and expensive cologne. For a fleeting second, the pain, the panic, the absurd light, all of it faded, and I almost forgot the precariousness of my situation. Then he glanced down. His eyes, which had been so focused on my leg, widened almost imperceptibly, and his face slowly, undeniably, went pinker than the champagne we'd toasted with earlier. "Wife," he began, his voice a shy, almost breathless whisper. "You're not wearing anything under there, are you?" My heart stopped. "Oh no, oh no." The words echoed like a death knell in my mind. He knew. He had to know. "Is this because you knew what we'd be doing tonight?" His voice, though still shy, now held an undeniable, dangerous edge of eagerness. His eyes, when they met mine, glinted with something that was disturbingly close to excitement. My brain scrambled, desperately searching for an explanation. Any explanation that didn't involve me admitting I was a man. "What? No," I blurted, my voice sounding far too high-pitched. "I mean, I am wearing something. Just minimalist style. You know, for comfort," I managed, forcing a weak, unconvincing laugh. He blinked, then a slow, knowing grin spread across his face. "Minimalist, huh? I like it. Very bold." I wanted the plush limo seat to swallow me whole. Bold? Try desperate. I was wearing boxers because I literally hadn't had time to raid Iris's lingerie drawer. And now Julian, the man who was supposed to be my brother-in-law, thought I was serving up some spicy, unconventional honeymoon surprise. Great. Just great. We finally pulled up to his mansion, a sprawling modern beast of glass and stone that looked more like an art gallery than a home. He carried me inside, still playing the knight in shining armor, and gently set me down on a plush sofa in a vast living area. "Doctor's on the way," he said, his fingers brushing a stray strand of my wig out of my face. "You sure you're okay?" "Yeah, just need to rest," I mumbled, praying he would back off. Give me some space, some air to breathe. He didn't. He sat beside me so close our knees brushed. You were stunning today, wife, he said, his voice soft, almost reverent. I'm the luckiest guy alive. My face felt like a furnace, the heat from my cheeks radiating through my heavily applied makeup. Thanks. You cleaned up nice too. An understatement of the century. Julian in a tailored tux was a walking magazine cover, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that was just messy enough to look effortlessly stylish. But I couldn't focus on that. I had a secret to keep and a month to survive. The doctor, a stern, no-nonsense woman, arrived shortly, checked my vitals, and declared me overstressed. No kidding. She left me with some muscle relaxers and a pointed look at Julian. Make sure she rests. No excitement. Oh, I'll take care of my wife, Julian said, all earnest devotion. She's my priority. As she left, he turned to me, that mischievous grin back. So, wife, ready for our first night as a married couple? My stomach plummeted. First night, right? The part where I was supposed to be Iris, the blushing bride, and not Leo, the guy who'd never even kissed a dude before, let alone this. How the hell was I going to pull this off? Maybe we should take it slow, I ventured, my voice cracking, barely audible. Julian's face fell, just a flicker, but it was enough to make me feel like I'd kicked a puppy. Slow? Sure, whatever you want, wife. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the coming days pressing down on me. 1 day down, 29 to go. If I didn't blow this, it would be a miracle that I was sprawled on a king-sized bed in Julian's opulent mansion, still encased in the wedding dress from hell. My heart was performing a frantic marathon against my ribs. The doctor had long since departed, the house had settled into an unsettling quiet, and Julian was hovering beside me, a picture of solicitous concern, as if I were made of the most delicate glass. Wife, do you need anything? He asked, his voice soft, almost hushed. Water? Snacks? A blanket? I'm good, I lied, tugging futilely at the dress's voluminous hem, trying to cover my knees. Good? I was a dude pretending to be my sister, married to a man who could sniff out a lie faster than a bloodhound. Julian wasn't just rich. He was sharp, intuitive. One wrong move, one misplaced gesture, and I was toast. He sat on the edge of the bed, close enough that the intoxicating scent of his cedar and spice cologne, now mingling with a faint hint of trouble, enveloped me. Are you sure you're okay? You've been jumpy all day. Weddings are stressful, I managed, forcing a brittle laugh. All that tulle and vows. He chuckled, a low, warm sound that was unfairly charming. Fair. But now it's just us. No more stress. His hand reached out, brushing against mine, and I instinctively jerked back as if zapped by an electric current. His brow furrowed, a flash of genuine hurt in his eyes. Wife, you're killing me. Am I that scary? No. I blurted, my face flaming, hotter than a July barbecue. Just adjusting. New husband, new house, you know? His eyes softened, and he nodded understandingly. I get it. We'll go at your pace. Then, a mischievous grin, one that spelled pure, unadulterated danger for my secret, spread across his face. But I'm dying to help you relax. How about a bath, together? My brain screeched to a halt. A bath together? As in naked, in water, with Julian, who thought I was Iris. I'd rather wrestle a bear. A grizzly, perhaps. No vas. I yelped, louder than intended, the word bursting out of me. Julian blinked, looking utterly bewildered, like a kicked puppy. Why not? We're married now. It's normal, right? Normal? Sure. If I wasn't hiding a secret that could tank this entire charade, sink my family's reputation, and possibly earn me a one-way ticket to a very deep, dark hole. I don't feel like it, I stammered, scrambling for a believable excuse. I'm just tired. Tired? He repeated, his voice flat, a hint of suspicion now creeping in. He leaned closer, and I swear his eyes were scanning me, analyzing me like a barcode. Wife, You promised me a bath on our wedding night back when we were planning everything. You're not backing out, are you? Planning? Oh right. Iris had probably made all sorts of lovey-dovey promises before she bailed. I was gonna wring her neck when she was found. I'm not backing out, I said, crossing my arms defensively. I just don't want to. Okay? Okay, he said, but his shoulders slumped, and he looked so genuinely dejected that I almost felt a pang of guilt. Almost. Survival trumped guilt. I bolted to the spacious en-suite bathroom before he could argue further, locking the door with a decisive click. The mirror showed a guy who was way too tall and angular for this ridiculous wig and expertly applied makeup, his face redder than a stop sign. I splashed cold water on my cheeks, muttering to my reflection, "You got this, Leo. Just don't let him see you naked." When I finally emerged, wrapped tightly in a thick, luxurious robe I'd found in the closet, Julian was already in pajamas. Silk, of course, because apparently he was allergic to anything less than pure extravagance. He was holding a small tube of cream, looking genuinely worried. "Wife," he said, "the doctor mentioned you might get a rash from the champagne. Let me put this on you." "Rash?" I squeaked. "I'm fine, really." "Nope, not taking chances." He patted the bed beside him. "Lie down. I've got you." I hesitated, but his earnest, unwavering gaze made it impossible to refuse. I lay face down, clutching the robe like a lifeline. He began to apply the cream to my back, his hands surprisingly gentle but firm. Too firm. He paused, his fingers lingering on my waist. "Wife, why is your waist so firm?" I froze. "Firm because I'm built like a guy." "Oh, because I'm tough as nails," I said, aiming for casual, but landing squarely on panicked. He chuckled, a low, warm sound against my back. "Tough, huh? I like that." But then his hands moved higher, under the robe, and I tensed, my breath catching in my throat as he brushed against my chest. "Wife," he said, his voice laced with innocent curiosity, "you're really flat-chested, aren't you?" My heart stopped altogether. "Yep," I croaked, the single syllable barely escaping my lips. "Flat as a board. It's genetic." "Doesn't matter," he said, his tone utterly sweet, disarming. "You're perfect." He leaned down, and before I could even process what was happening, his lips grazed the back of my neck. It was quick, soft, and sent a jolt through me that was an equal mix of pure, unadulterated panic and something else I was absolutely not ready to name. "Julian," I yelped, rolling away from him and yanking the robe tighter around myself. "What was that?" He looked utterly confused, then a flicker of hurt crossed his features. "I thought we're married, right? I can kiss my wife." "Yeah, but..." I scrambled for an excuse, any excuse. "I'm just not ready. Can you just... chill?" "Chill?" he echoed, his voice small, wounded. He sat back, running a hand through his perfectly coiffed hair. "Wife, do you hate me?" "What?" I blinked, thrown completely by the sudden, heartbreaking shift in his demeanor. "No, I don't hate you." "Then why do you keep pushing me away?" His eyes were shiny now, glistening, and oh God, was he actually tearing up? "We're supposed to be partners, but you act like I'm some stranger. Is it because this is just a marriage of convenience to you?" My stomach twisted into a painful knot. A marriage of convenience? Try a marriage of utter, desperate necessity, buddy. But the way he was looking at me, all vulnerable and sad, made my chest ache with a genuine pang of remorse. "It's not like that," I said, my voice softer than I intended. "I'm just shy." "Okay. Super shy." "Shy?" he sniffed, wiping at his eyes, looking unconvinced. "Really? Really?" I lied, forcing a smile that felt brittle. "I mean, look at you. You're all fancy and perfect. It's intimidating." His face instantly lit up like I just handed him a basket of puppies. "You think I'm perfect? Don't let it go to your head," I muttered, but he was already scooting closer, his grin back in full force. "Wife, you're the best." He grabbed my hand, pressing a soft kiss to my knuckles. "I knew you liked me." I rolled my eyes, but my heart was doing weird, nervous flips. Yeah, don't get cocky. He laughed, and for a moment, it was almost nice. Then he yawned, stretching out beside me. Let's sleep. Big day tomorrow. Sleep, I echoed, eyeing the vast expanse of the king-sized bed. One bed. For both of us. Yep, he said, patting the pillow beside him. Unless you want me on the couch? No, I said too fast. If he left, he might get suspicious. I mean, it's fine. We can share. Awesome. He slid under the covers, looking way too happy and comfortable. I stayed rigidly on my side, stiff as a plank, praying he wouldn't try anything, wouldn't roll over, wouldn't accidentally touch me. He didn't. He just lay there, breathing softly, his face relaxed and unfairly handsome in the dim light. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. Julian wasn't what I expected. The rumors had painted him as a cold, calculating CEO, but he was warm, almost clingy, and kind of adorable in a terrifying way. And that kiss on my neck. I wasn't supposed to feel anything, but my skin was still tingling. My parents had said to keep him distracted, but how was I supposed to do that when he was already distracting me so thoroughly? I had 28 days left to pull this off without him figuring out I wasn't Iris. And if he kept being this sweet, I wasn't sure I would survive it. As I finally drifted off, I heard him mumble, "Good night, wife." And for one stupid second, I almost said it back that I woke up to Julian's arm slung possessively over my waist, his warm breath tickling the back of my neck. For a split second, a dangerously cozy feeling washed over me. Then, the brutal reality slapped me hard. I was Leo, a dude in a wig, married to a man who thought I was his bride, Iris. I bolted upright, my heart hammering against my ribs. Julian stirred, blinking sleepily. His dark hair tousled in a way that was, annoyingly, still incredibly attractive. "Wife, you okay?" "Fine," I squeaked, scrambling out of bed as fast as humanly possible. "Just need coffee." He grinned, all tousled hair and morning glow, looking like he'd just stepped off a magazine cover. "You're cute when you're jumpy. Come back to bed." "Nope. Got to brush my teeth." I darted to the opulent ensuite bathroom, locking the door with a satisfying click. The mirror showed a guy who was one bad decision away from a full-blown meltdown. I splashed cold water on my face, muttering, "Leo, you idiot, don't get comfy. He's not your husband. This is all a lie." By the time I emerged, Julian was already dressed in a crisp, perfectly ironed shirt and designer jeans, looking like he'd been styled by a professional. "Wife, pack a bag. We're going on our honeymoon." "Honeymoon?" I choked, nearly dropping my toothbrush. "Like, now?" "Yep." He was practically bouncing on the balls of his feet, his excitement palpable. "A spa resort upstate. Hot springs, couples massages, the works. Just you and me." Hot springs. As in, barely their swimsuits and shared, communal baths. My stomach lurched, a cold wave of dread washing over me. Can we maybe postpone?" His face fell instantly. "Postpone? Why don't you want to celebrate our marriage?" "It's not that," I stammered, my brain scrambling for a plausible excuse. I have a thing about resorts. Germs, you know?" He laughed, a deep, amused rumble, and stepped closer. "Germs? Wife, it's a 5-star place. Spotless. You'll love it." He grabbed my hand, tugging me playfully toward the walk-in closet. "Come on, let's pack." I was utterly screwed. There was no way I could wiggle out of this without looking incredibly suspicious. So, an hour later, I was in Julian's ridiculously luxurious car, headed to a fancy spa resort that was, in essence, my personal nightmare. He chatted enthusiastically about the itinerary, gourmet dinners, relaxing massages, the famed hot springs, and I nodded like a bobblehead, praying for a miracle, for a sudden alien invasion, anything to get me out of this. The resort was objectively stunning. Rolling hills, minimalist glass-walled buildings, and plumes of steam gracefully rising from outdoor pools nestled amongst lush greenery. Julian was absolutely thrilled, practically dragging me to our private suite, which boasted a breathtaking balcony overlooking the main hot springs. "Wife, isn't this perfect?" he said, wrapping an arm around me, his eyes shining. "Perfect," I echoed, my voice weak, barely audible. Perfect for exposing me, maybe. I was already sweating, and it certainly wasn't from the rising steam. At dinner, Julian was in full honeymoon mode, completely oblivious to my internal turmoil. He fed me bites of exquisitely prepared lobster, clinking his wine glass against mine with a soft chime. "To us," he toasted, his eyes soft with genuine affection. I forced a strained smile, but my mind was fixated on the looming threat of the hot springs. There was simply no way I could strip down without him noticing the glaring anatomical differences between myself and his actual wife. I needed an excuse, and I needed one fast. "Wife, ready to hit the springs after this?" he asked, taking a sip of his wine. I choked on my water, sputtering. About that, I can't." He tilted his head, genuinely confused. "Can't? Why not?" "Think, Leo, think, because I'm on my period," I blurted, then immediately wanted to dive under the table and never reemerge. "A period? Me? I'm a guy." Julian's eyes widened. Oh, okay." He set down his glass, his expression shifting to one of profound concern. "Are you feeling okay? Cramps? Do you need anything?" I was dying inside. My face was hotter than the sun. "Just not up for soaking, you know. Hygiene stuff." "Of course," he said, nodding understandingly, as if it were the most normal and logical thing in the world. "Don't worry, wife. I'll take care of you." He immediately flagged down a waiter, ordering hot herbal tea, then pulled out his phone. "I'm getting you some heating pads and maybe some chocolate. Does that help?" "Tea's fine," I mumbled, sinking lower into my chair, overwhelmed by his earnestness. It was almost sweet, if I wasn't lying through my teeth. Back in the suite, Julian transformed into a one-man care team. He handed me a steaming mug of tea, tucked a soft blanket around me, and, to my horror, gently placed heating pads on my stomach and back. "Better?" he asked, sitting beside me, his concern unwavering. Yeah," I said, now sweating buckets. The heating pads were like mini furnaces, and I was pretty sure I was actually melting. "Maybe two better." He frowned, touching my forehead. "You're burning up. Are you sick? I'm calling the doctor." "No." I grabbed his arm, desperate. "I'm fine. Just overheated. Let me shower. Cool off." "You sure?" He gave me the full puppy dog eyes again. "I don't want you fainting." "Positive," I said, bolting to the bathroom. I ripped off the infernal heating pads, cranked the cold water, and stood under the spray, cursing my life, my sister, and my parents. "A period? Really, Leo? That's the best you got?" I was toweling off when Julian knocked. "Wife, you okay in there? Need help?" "I'm good," I shouted, wrapping the thick robe tightly around myself, but I was too slow, too clumsy. My elbow smacked hard against the tiled wall, and I yelped, "Ow!" The door instantly swung open. Julian was standing there, his eyes wide with alarm. "What happened? Did you fall?" "I'm fine," I insisted, clutching the robe even tighter, but his gaze dropped, lingering for just a second too long on my legs, which were very much not irises. The robe was short, and my calves were distinctly, undeniably hairy. My heart stopped dead in my chest. He swallowed hard, his voice low, a chilling calm replacing his earlier concern. "Wife, are you a guy?" The world tilted on its axis. I was done. Exposed. Game over. But then, my eyes landed on a small, decorative bottle of essential oil on the counter, and my survival instincts, honed by days of frantic lying, kicked into overdrive. I grabbed it, shoving it into his hand. "No way. You're seeing things. I was just about to use this for skin stuff." He blinked, taking the small bottle, his brow furrowed. "Skin stuff?" "Yeah." I forced a laugh, my pulse jackhammering against my eardrums. "This oil is like super feminine. Smell it. Totally girly, right?" He sniffed it cautiously, his confusion only deepening. It smells like lavender. Exactly. I nodded like a maniac, perhaps a bit too enthusiastically. Lavender's practically a gender. You just caught me at a bad angle. He stared at me, then slowly tilted his head, clearly unconvinced. A bad angle, huh? Yep. I grabbed a wine glass from the counter, chugging the leftover dregs to calm my frayed nerves. Lighting's weird in here, plus you've had a few drinks. Easy mix-up. Julian was still holding the lavender oil, his expression unreadable, skeptical. I panicked, pouring him a fresh glass of wine. Here, have some more wine. Relax. You're stressed. He took it, sipping slowly. Maybe I am stressed. Sorry, wife. I didn't mean to freak you out. No gueris, I said, pushing more wine at him. Drink up. Let's chill. By the time he was on his third glass, he was significantly looser, laughing at his silly mistake. You're right, wife. Bad angle. You're definitely my gorgeous bride. Definitely? I said, my smile tighter than the wig on my head. I nudged him toward the bed. You sleep. I'll take some meds and join you. He flopped down, mumbling, "Love you, wife," before passing out cold. I collapsed in a nearby armchair, heart still racing a mile a minute. That was too close. Way too close. I glanced at Julian, snoring softly, his face peaceful, almost childlike. He was so trusting. It made my chest ache with a fresh wave of guilt. I was lying to him, and he was out here buying me heating pads and believing my dumb, desperate excuses. What kind of guy does that? The kind I was apparently starting to like, which was a monumental problem because I wasn't his wife. I was Leo, the guy who was supposed to keep this secret for 27 more days. But as I watched him sleep, I wondered if I was the one who was going to get burned. I grabbed another glass of wine. Here's to surviving the honeymoon. Cheers. I woke up to Julian's face an inch from mine, his breath warm and even against my cheek. His eyes still closed in peaceful slumber. For a split second, a dangerous, deceptive sense of normalcy settled over me. I almost forgot I was a fraud in a wig, sharing a bed with a man who was, technically, my brother-in-law. Then, reality, sharp and cold, slapped me awake. I was Leo, not Iris. And last night, I had barely dodged a bullet with that terrifying "you're a guy" fiasco. I carefully rolled out of bed, my heart thudding a nervous rhythm against my ribs, and tiptoed to the bathroom to painstakingly reapply my makeup and adjust the wig. One tiny slip-up, one misplaced hair, and Julian would see right through me. By breakfast, Julian was back to his sunny, oblivious self, piling pancakes onto my plate with enthusiastic gusto. "Wife, you were hilarious last night," he said, a wide grin spreading across his face. "Yelling about lavender being a gender. You're a riot." I forced a weak laugh, my face burning with renewed mortification. "Yeah, wine. Wine makes me creative." He winked, leaning closer, his eyes twinkling with a warmth that was both endearing and terrifying. "I like creative. Maybe tonight we can get creative without the wine." His tone was teasing, but his gaze held a distinct, suggestive heat, and I nearly choked on my orange juice. Let's not rush," I mumbled, hastily shoving a pancake into my mouth. Creative. The only thing I was creating was an elaborate, fragile web of lies that felt ready to collapse at any second. We were back at the mansion by noon, and I was itching to escape. Julian was too close, too attentive, too much. I felt like I was one lingering touch away from completely blowing my cover. So, I hatched a desperate plan. Fake a dramatic fight, then bolt to my parents' house. If I played it right, I could hide out there, safe from Julian's observant gaze, until Iris was finally found. Genius, I thought, a flicker of desperate hope igniting within me. That night, Julian was nursing a very real headache from the previous night's wine, looking genuinely pitiful slumped on the couch. "Wife," he mumbled, rubbing his temples. "I didn't go too hard last night, did I?" I seized my chance, crossing my arms and adopting my best aggrieved expression. "Oh, you went hard, Julian. You were yelling about how I'm a guy, how I'm deceiving you, How you'll tear me apart. His eyes widened in disbelief. What? I said that. Yep. I lied with conviction, puffing myself up. I'm a lady, Julian. Maybe my voice is a bit husky, and my chest is subtle, but calling me a guy? That's low. You humiliated me. Wife, I'm so sorry. He was instantly on his feet, hands flailing in distress. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. Drunk or not, I'm done. I grabbed a small overnight bag, haphazardly tossing in random clothes for show. I'm going back to my parents. Don't follow me. He grabbed my arm, his face a picture of pure devastation, looking exactly like a kicked puppy. Please don't go. I'll do anything. Too late. I yanked my arm free, storming out and slamming the mansion door behind me with a theatrical flourish. The waiting driver, my parents' idea probably, whisked me away, and I collapsed in the back seat, my ears ringing with the emotional chaos I'd just unleashed. Step 1. Complete. Now, I just needed to lay low at the Maxwell estate, a sprawling suburban villa that felt miles away from Julian's modern palace. My parents, however, were less than thrilled with my sudden return. Leo, you're back already? My mother hissed, glancing around nervously as if Julian might be hiding in the bushes. What happened? Faked a fight? I said, flopping onto the plush living room couch, feeling utterly drained. Julian was getting too close. I need to hide until Iris is back. My father frowned. You sure about this? Julian's not dumb. If he shows up, just say I'm pissed and won't see anyone. I cut in, my voice firm. I've got this. Famous last words. A cynical part of my brain whispered. By evening, my phone was blowing up with Julian's texts. Wife, I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. I didn't mean it. Here's a puppy emoji. See, I'm sad. Then he started transferring money. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. I rolled my eyes. Did he really think I was that shallow? Then ding. A notification flashed. $1 million had hit my account. I stared at the screen. Okay, he had my attention, but I wasn't budging. I muted him and crawled into bed, hoping for a week of blessed peace. No such luck. The very next morning, Julian was at our door, armed with an absurdly large bouquet of roses, a mountain of gourmet chocolates, and a stack of gift bags that practically screamed, I'm sorry. I peered down from the upstairs landing as he pleaded with my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Maxwell, I can't lose her. Please, help me talk to her. My mother's voice was firm. She's very upset, Julian. Give her time. I don't have time, he said, his voice cracking with genuine anguish. I need her. My heart did a weird, unsettling flip. He sounded so incredibly genuine, like I was his whole world, which was insane because I wasn't even his real wife. I tried to shake off the feeling, but then I heard keys jingling. My mother sighed. We can only do so much, Julian. The rest is on you. The door to my room slowly creaked open. I was in boxers, no wig, no makeup, just hairy, raw, and exposed. I dove for the bed, yanking the covers over me just as Julian stepped inside. Wife, I'm coming in, he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. I peeked out, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm. He was still holding the roses, looking utterly exhausted, like he hadn't slept a wink. Then he knelt by the bed, his eyes red-rimmed. I messed up, he said, his voice shaking. I shouldn't have said those things. Please, come home. I was floored. Julian Thorne, the untouchable CEO, was on his knees, practically sobbing, begging me to return. It was kind of hot, in a messed up, unexpected way, but I was supposed to be furious. You think roses fix this? I snapped, sitting up, but keeping the blanket held high to my chest. You insulted me. I know, he said, his head bowed in contrition. I'll never drink again, I swear. Just don't leave me. My resolve, already fragile, completely wobbled. He looked so utterly broken, and I was the jerk lying to him, taking advantage of his genuine pain. Fine, I muttered, my voice barely audible. I'll come back, but you're on thin ice. His face instantly lit up, and he lunged to hug me, but I dodged. "Clothes first," I said, pointing emphatically toward the door. "Wait outside." He nodded, practically scampering out of the room. I quickly threw on some of Iris's clothes, fixed the wig, reapplied the makeup, and followed him. Back at the mansion, he was glued to my side, sniffing my wig hair. "Wife, you smell so good." I rolled my eyes. "It's just shampoo, Julian." But when he hugged me from behind, nuzzling my neck, something snapped. "Enough!" I kicked him, not gently, off the bed. He landed on the floor with a soft thud, immediately grinning up at me like a complete weirdo. "Love your strength, wife," he said, winking. "So feisty." "You're nuts," I muttered, but I was fighting a smile. He was ridiculous, and I was inexplicably starting to like it. The next hurdle hit fast. A formal family gala at Julian's estate. It was a welcome the bride affair, and I was absolutely terrified. I got drunk just looking at wine, and a drunk Leo was guaranteed to spill all my secrets. "Julian, can I skip it?" I asked, fidgeting nervously. "No way," he said, squeezing my hand. "I'll protect you." "Protect me?" He did, in the most savagely Julian way possible. At the gala, his haughty cousins immediately started in. "Your wife's got no class," one sneered. Julian merely smirked. "Class? You're wearing last season's suit. Try a mirror." Another chimed in. "She's barely feminine." "Feminine?" Julian snorted. "You're barely human. Go bark somewhere else." By the end of the night, no one dared approach us. He turned to me, all proud, a triumphant gleam in his eyes. "See, wife? I've got your back." I was stunned. "You're kind of ruthless." "Only for you," he said, winking. But then he handed me a delicate glass of fruit wine, and my blood ran cold. "Alcohol? My kryptonite?" "Julian, what's this?" I asked, sniffing it cautiously. "Fruit wine," he said, utterly innocent. "You said you liked it." "Did I?" My head was starting to feel fuzzy, my body warm. Too warm. "Julian, I don't feel great," I mumbled, swaying slightly. He caught me instantly, worry etched on his face. "Wife, what's wrong?" "Alcohol makes me weird," I slurred, clinging to him. He scooped me up, rushing to our room, and I bit my lip hard, desperate to stay quiet. If I talked, I would spill everything. And as he gently laid me on the bed, locking the door, I knew I was in deep, deep trouble. That I woke up with a headache that felt like a jackhammer was assaulting my skull, and an overwhelming, pervasive sense of doom. The room spun sluggishly around me, and Julian was sitting beside the bed, looking entirely too cheerful, like he'd just won the lottery. "Wife, you're awake," he chirped, holding a delicate, steaming bowl of porridge. "I made this to settle your stomach. Drink up." I squinted at him, my mouth tasting like regret and cheap fruit wine. The previous night was a blurry haze. Wine. Julian carrying me to bed. And, oh no, did I say something stupid? I grabbed the spoon, my voice hoarse. "Julian, I didn't talk in my sleep or anything, right?" He grinned, all dimples and innocent charm. "Nope, you were an angel. Super cooperative." Cooperative? My stomach dropped, a cold, hard knot forming in my gut. What was that supposed to mean? He leaned closer, his eyes twinkling mischievously. "Oh, you answered all my questions. Very honest." My blood ran cold. Questions? Honest? I was a walking, talking lie in a wig. What kind of questions? I asked, gripping the porridge bowl like it was a lifeline, suddenly terrified of the answer. He waved a dismissive hand, all casual. "Nothing big, just stuff. Eat your porridge." I shoved a spoonful into my mouth, but it tasted like pure, unadulterated panic. He was too smug, too knowing. Did I blab that I was hairy? That I was a guy? My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. But his smile was so disarmingly warm it was hard to think straight. "Julian." I tried again, my voice barely a whisper. "You didn't ask anything weird, did you?" He paused, his spoon hovering midway to his mouth. His eyes flickered, a shadow passing over them, something dark, almost hurt. "Weird?" No, but you really don't remember, huh? Remember what? My voice cracked, and a fresh wave of sweat broke out on my forehead. He sighed, a heavy, dramatic sound, and slowly set the bowl down. Nothing, wife. Forget it. Then he stood, grabbed his jacket, and walked out without another word, leaving me utterly frozen, the porridge forgotten. That sigh, that look. He knew. He absolutely had to know. Why else would he storm off like I'd just run over his beloved dog? I was screwed. He was probably calling his lawyers right now, ready to torch the Maxwell family for the colossal scam. Or worse, he was hurt, genuinely hurt, because I had been lying to his face, playing him for a fool. I spent the entire day pacing the luxurious confines of the suite, chewing my nails down to the quick. Do I run?
Do I confess?
Do I beg for forgiveness? Every single option felt like a catastrophic disaster. By evening, a desperate, reckless idea began to form. I decided to fight fire with fire. If he was fishing for the truth, I would throw him completely off balance with some Oscar-worthy acting. It was time to channel Iris's innate flair for drama and turn the tables on him. I dug through the closet, finding a silk pajama set. It was slippery, provocatively low-cut, and, thankfully, very not hairy. I slipped it on, carefully adjusted my wig, and practiced a sultry pout in the full-length mirror. "You can do this, Leo," I muttered to my reflection. Seduce, distract, survive. Julian was working late, so I patiently waited, carefully sneaking into his study just before 11 p.m. I hid behind a towering bookshelf, my heart thumping a frantic rhythm. When he finally walked in, looking tired and rumpled, I pounced. "Julian," I purred, stepping out of the shadows, trying to exude a confidence I absolutely did not feel. "You're avoiding me." He froze, his eyes widening in surprise. "Wife, what are you?" His gaze dropped to the silk pajamas, and his cheeks instantly flushed a deep, telltale pink. "You look... Oh, wow." I sauntered closer, every step a gamble, my heart racing. "You've been dodging me all day, leaving me all alone in this big, empty house. Don't you like me anymore?" I leaned in, letting the silk pajama top slip artfully off one shoulder. He swallowed hard, backing up slightly. "I'm not dodging you. I just had work." "Liar," I said, pressing a hand to his chest. His heart was pounding a frantic rhythm under my palm. "You're ghosting me. After I married you, gave you my heart, and now you're cold-shouldering me?"
I'm hurt, Julian.
"So hurt," I exaggerated, pinching my thigh to force real tears to my eyes. "You don't even look at me." I sobbed dramatically, throwing myself onto his massive desk. "I wore this for you, and you're acting like I'm invisible. If you don't want me, just say it. We can divorce." Divorce? He was truly panicking now, grabbing my shoulders, his hands frantic. "No, no, no. I want you. I'm crazy about you." "Then why were you so distant?" I wailed, wiping away my very fake tears. "You didn't call, didn't text. I thought you'd left me."
I'm sorry.
He pulled me into a frantic hug, holding me tightly. "I was just upset. You don't remember last night, and I thought maybe you didn't mean what you said." I froze mid-sob, my breath catching in my throat. "What I said?" He hesitated, then mumbled. "You said you liked me when I asked, but you were drunk, so maybe it wasn't real." My brain screeched to a halt. I said I liked him out loud? No wonder he'd been weird. But he wasn't mentioning the guy thing, so maybe I hadn't spilled that particular, most critical bean. I pulled back, sniffling theatrically. "I was drunk, but I meant it. I do like you, Julian. I'm just shy." His face instantly lit up like a Christmas tree. "Really? You like me? Don't make me say it twice," I muttered. But my cheeks were burning for real now, a genuine blush. His joy was infectious, and it was seriously messing with my head. He hugged me tighter, nuzzling into my neck. "Wife, you're the best. I'm not mad. I swear. I was just scared you didn't feel the same." I patted his back, guilt gnawing at me. He was pouring his heart out, and I was playing him like a fiddle. but I was in too deep to stop. Good, I said, pulling away. Now go to bed. I need space. He nodded, looking like an eager puppy, and I quickly escaped to the bedroom, locking the door securely behind me. I collapsed onto the bed, heart still racing. I liked him. I actually liked him. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was dangerous because every time he called me wife, I was less and less sure I wanted to run. The next day, I was a wreck. Julian was back to normal, all smiles and breakfast trays, but I was paranoid. I needed distance, so I packed a small bag from my parents' place, convinced a few days away would clear my head and get me back on track. I was halfway to the front door when Julian appeared, his face suddenly cold as ice. Wife, where are you going? I froze, the packed bag slipping from my grasp. Just visiting Mom and Dad. Visiting? He repeated, stepping closer. His voice low, dangerous, completely devoid of the usual warmth. Or running to someone new? Someone new. I laughed, but it was a shaky, unconvincing sound. What are you talking about? He grabbed my wrist, his grip surprisingly strong, pinning it above my head against the wall. I told you, wife. You're mine. No one else. My knees wobbled uncontrollably. This wasn't puppy dog Julian. This was CO Julian, the one who crushed his enemies without a second thought. Julian, chill, I said, my voice trembling. There's no one else. Then why were you leaving? His eyes were stormy, and I was genuinely, terrifyingly scared. I'm not. My phone rang, cutting me off abruptly. Julian's jaw tightened, but he let me answer. It was my mother, her voice frantic, bordering on hysterical. Leo! The family knows. They know you're not Iris. I went numb, the blood draining from my face. Julian was staring at me, his own phone buzzing in his hand. He answered it, listened for a long, agonizing moment, and his face hardened, becoming a mask of utter fury. Understood, he said. His voice clipped, then hung up. He looked at me, his eyes unreadable, devoid of all emotion. Wife, we need to talk. My heart sank to my stomach. He knew. It was over. And as he stepped closer, I braced for the fallout, wondering how I had ever, for one foolish moment, thought I could outsmart Julian Thorne. I was sitting on the edge of Julian's opulent king-sized bed, the same one we had shared during that disastrous honeymoon at the spa resort, and later, after the gala. But it felt like a lifetime ago. My phone was buzzing relentlessly on the nightstand, filled with my mother's frantic voicemails. Leo, stay safe. We're handling it, but it's no use. She was right. It was no use. Julian knew. He knew I wasn't Iris. He'd known since that devastating phone call last night when his family had dropped the bomb, undoubtedly spurred on by my parents' own panicked confession. I was waiting for him now in his mansion, under what felt eerily like house arrest. The air in the room was thick with tension, so heavy you could almost taste it, and my heart was pounding so violently I was sure the neighbors could hear it. I had flown back from Europe yesterday. Yes, Europe. After Julian found out, or rather, when I thought he found out that I was a guy, I had bolted. Partly to save my skin from his anticipated wrath, partly because I simply couldn't bear to face the hurt I imagined would be in his eyes. My parents, in their continued flurry of panic, had shipped me off to some distant cousin's place in Paris, thinking that a continent's worth of distance would somehow cool things down. It hadn't. Julian had gone nuclear, cutting all business ties with the Maxwell family, and hounding Iris until she was an emotional wreck. She had texted me, sobbing, Leo, he's terrifying. Come back or I'm done for. So here I was, a reluctant prodigal son returning, ready to face the music, the fallout, and whatever terrifying judgment Julian had in store for me. The door to the bedroom slowly creaked open, and Julian stepped in. His face was a mask of cold, unyielding fury, every line of his body rigid with barely contained anger. He was in a perfectly tailored dark suit, every inch the untouchable, ruthless CEO I had first heard rumors about, the man who effortlessly commanded respect and instilled fear. But his eyes, God, his eyes, they were raw, wounded, like I had truly, deeply gutted him. Leo, he said, his voice like chipped ice, utterly devoid of any warmth or affection. Got anything to say for yourself? I swallowed hard, my throat suddenly desert dry. I'm sorry, Julian. I should have told you from the start. Iris ran, and my family, they made me take her place. I didn't want to lie, but I was scared. So scared. Scared, he repeated, stepping closer, his voice low and dangerous. Of what, Leo? Me? Or that I'd find out you've been playing me for a fool? Both, I admitted, looking down at my hands, twisted in my lap. You're powerful, sharp. I thought you'd hate me, and I didn't want to hurt you. Hurt me? He let out a short, bitter laugh, a sound that sliced through the heavy air. You think lying about who you are? Letting me fall for you? Then running away like a coward didn't hurt? My chest tightened painfully at his words. Fall for me? He had said it before, in drunken moments, in moments of tenderness, but hearing it now, stripped of the wig, stripped of the pretense, it hit differently. It was real. I didn't know you felt that way. I mumbled, my voice barely audible. I thought it was just a game, a deal, a way to save my family. A game. He was suddenly right in front of me, his face inches from mine, his eyes blazing with a potent mix of anger and pain. I called you my wife. I begged you to stay, and you think that was a game? I flinched, instinctively recoiling from the sheer intensity of his emotions. He was right. Every touch, every whispered wife, every tear he'd shed, he had meant it. And I had been too busy hiding, too caught up in my elaborate lie, to truly see it, to truly comprehend the depth of his feelings. I'm sorry, I said again, my voice weaker, a genuine tremor running through it. I was wrong. I'll take whatever punishment you want, Julian. Just don't hurt my family anymore. He stared at me, his jaw tight, his chest heaving, then turned away, pacing the room with restless energy. Punishment? He muttered, the word laced with something unidentifiable. You think I want to punish you? Don't you? I asked, genuinely confused, my mind struggling to keep up with his emotional shifts. You've been tearing my family apart. Iris is a mess. You want me to pay, right? He stopped, his hands clenched into tight fists at his sides. I wanted you back, Leo. Not your sister. Not your family. You. My breath caught in my throat. Me? Yes, you idiot. He growled, his voice thick, his eyes wet with unshed tears. I've been in love with you for years. Before this whole mess even started. I saw you at a Maxwell gala once, laughing with Iris, and I was done for. When I found out Iris ran and you took her place, I didn't care. I wanted you. I was utterly floored, my mind reeling. You knew? You knew I was a guy? From the start. He nodded, a ghost of a wry smile finally touching his lips. Your makeup was terrible, Leo, and I'd know you anywhere. I laughed, a choked, watery sound despite myself. Then why all the wife stuff? Why play along? Because you were trying so hard, he said, his voice softening, all the anger seemingly draining from him. I thought if I gave you time, you'd trust me. You'd tell me. But then you ran. And I lost it. I was reeling, trying to process this impossible revelation. He had loved me this whole time, through the wigs, the lies, the fake periods, the bad angles. Julian, I didn't know. I stammered, my eyes stinging with a fresh wave of very real tears. I thought you'd hate me when you found out. Hate you? He stepped closer, his voice low, raw with emotion. I was mad, yes. Mad you didn't trust me. Mad you left. But hate you? Never. I was trembling now, my own eyes stinging, the emotions overwhelming me. I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because I was falling for you, and I was scared it would ruin everything. His face softened completely, and he was close enough that I could feel the comforting warmth radiating from his body. Falling for me, huh? Don't get cocky, I muttered, but my voice cracked, betraying the depth of my feelings. I'm serious. I like you, Julian. For real. But I'm a mess, and I lied. And He cut me off, gently grabbing my face with both hands and kissing me. It wasn't like the wedding kiss, all soft and staged. This one was desperate, hungry, filled with years of unspoken longing and frustration, and so incredibly real it knocked the air clean out of my lungs. I kissed him back, my hands fisting his perfectly tailored suit jacket, clinging to him. For a moment it was just us. No lies, no wigs, no pretense. Just Leo and Julian, two souls finally connecting. When we finally pulled apart, he was grinning, his eyes bright with happiness and relief. So, no divorce then? I laughed, wiping a stray tear from my cheek. You're stuck with me, I guess. Good, he said, pulling me close, nuzzling into my now wigless hair. Because you're still my wife, or husband, whatever. You're mine. Possessive much? I teased, but I was grinning too, my heart swelling with a joy I hadn't thought possible. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity, apologies, and an astonishing amount of emotional processing. Julian, with his characteristic efficiency and fierce protectiveness, smoothed things over with his family. They were, predictably, initially furious about the deception, but far too intimidated by Julian's unwavering resolve and the veiled threat of his business wrath to argue for long. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Maxwell, were immensely relieved. Iris was finally off the hook, safely back from her romantic escapade, and the Maxwell family's business was secure, salvaged by my accidental, then very real love affair. Julian and I meticulously planned a new wedding. This time, there would be no wedding dresses, no elaborate wigs, and absolutely no secrets. Just us, standing before our assembled families and a few close friends, in a small, charming church that Julian had somehow managed to make feel intimate and grand all at once. On the day, I was dressed in a sharp, impeccably tailored dark suit, feeling a familiar nervousness, but this time it was interwoven with an overwhelming sense of profound happiness and rightness. Julian stood across from me at the altar, looking like a dream in his own perfectly fitted tuxedo, his eyes shining with adoration. "Husband," he said, his voice husky with emotion, as he slid a simple, elegant platinum band onto my finger. "Help me out here." I laughed, a genuine, joyful sound, as I slipped his matching ring onto his finger. "There," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Now you're officially mine." The small crowd cheered, a warm, heartfelt sound, and we kissed. It was a long, sweet kiss, unhurried and profound, under a shower of white confetti tossed by our smiling loved ones. At the reception, held in a beautifully decorated hall adjacent to the church, Julian was glued to my side, his arm firmly around my waist. He whispered into my ear, "So, can I call you husband now? Licensed and all." I rolled my eyes playfully, taking a sip of the celebratory champagne. "You're going to milk this, aren't you?" "Forever," he said, his grin wide and utterly captivating. Then he leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a low, mischievous tone that sent a shiver down my spine. "You promised me something last night. No backing out." "What?" I asked, feigning confusion, though I had a strong suspicion of what he meant. He pouted, all puppy dog eyes again. "You said you'd love me forever. You meant it, right?" I groaned dramatically, but my heart was so full it felt like it might burst. "Fine, I meant it, but you're carrying me over the threshold later." "Deal?" "Deal," he declared, and then, right there in the middle of the reception, he scooped me up into his arms, spinning me around as the guests laughed and cheered. I was dizzy not from the spin but from him, his radiant smile, his unwavering warmth, his ridiculous, perfect, all-encompassing love. "Julian," I said, grabbing his tie, pulling him closer until our foreheads touched. "One more thing." He leaned in eagerly. "Yeah, I love you," I said, loud enough for the entire room to hear, wanting the whole world to know. He froze for a split second, then tackled me in a fierce hug, nearly knocking over a nearby table laden with floral arrangements. "I love you too, Leo," he declared, his voice thick with emotion. The crowd's cheers were just background noise now, fading into insignificance. It was just him and me, No more lies, no more wigs, no more pretenses. And as he kissed me again, long and deep, I knew, with a certainty that settled deep into my very bones, that I was finally, truly, perfectly home.